effort. I expected us to you know, to come in and play some defense, but once I watched that first quarter and I saw that nobody could score the ball, I knew it was a wrap. And then, after that, we they kind of just gave up after that, to be perfectly honest with you. You know, the none of the shots ain't going in, and then when you miss those shots, bro, like when you miss those threes or whatever, Boston is just gonna punish you. And that's pretty much what it comes down to. Um we can early on when they played with a lot of energy, Steph was creating the mismatches. There was like a couple of layups. I think Wiggs missed one layup. There's a layup there, there was a layup there. And once it got to that point, I felt like the team just got discouraged. You know what I'm saying? And Boston just wouldn't stop missing. You know what I'm saying? But half measures are not good. It's either you're going to run that type of offense or you're not going to run that type of offense. That's pretty much what all of this comes down to. What type of offense are you going to run? Are you going to run, the real thing? Like, there's a quote before the game, like I keyed in on with Steve. And Steve was saying that they run a different type of offense when Draymond is there versus when Draymond is not there. Um, and I saw that quote and I was like, that's kind of the problem with the team right now. On top of the fact that, on top of the fact that they're not talented. But let me tell you something, this bro. Like, we missed a lot of guys tonight. Kaminga was in there. He's one of our main guys. Draymond is in there. Draymond is pretty much the focal point of the defense. And when he's not going to be there, they're just going to struggle, because a lot of this stuff, the defense breaking down and all of that, there's some things that Draymond can do that would help things fall into place, right? So there was a lot of issues tonight in terms of how they ran the offense and sort of what happened with the team. So, you know, um, massive, massive talent thing tonight.
Fortnite.
What's going on?
Oh, sorry, sorry.
Okay. Um, what's going on, Rose?
Oh, sorry about that. Can you guys hear me? By the way,
Huh?
can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear.
Well, I would have something new to add today, but what I've been saying for like the past how many spaces I've been in here. Nothing has changed about what I said. So you guys can do on your full hyper micro analytical shit about tonight's game, whatever not. But the point of the fact remains that if you just think about it for a second, like the entire organization's mentality has been okay with them doing absolutely positively nothing for the past like what two or three seasons, and they think that's perfectly acceptable. So until that mentality changes, no amount of bullshit that you guys say, well, in regards to like trades, roster moves, blah blah blah, blah, nothing of that's going to change if the whole organization mentality completely disagrees with what we're saying, even though we've been literally having like a 2 or 3 year sample size now. Like,
How many
I don't
moves
know, I
away
don't
do
know
you
what.
think we are, Rose?
How many moves?
Yeah.
Why are we talking about moves at this point? Because we all
No,
know
no, 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 no,
there's
no.
no silver bullet move that
Hold on,
changes
hold on, hold
that
on.
magically fixes everything.
No, hold on, hold on. Forget the front office um stuff or the trade deadline coming up, right? Like, forget all that. But let's say we literally just let $73 million just walk. poof, disappear into thin air. That's what we essentially just did, right? And for $73 million, you can literally get two impact players for $73 million. You know what I'm saying? You can literally get two quality pieces for 73, right? And we saw in the summer, like there were guys that are playing well right now that we just didn't go get. You know what I'm saying? And every time this team has been bad, I mean literally every time, and I've been watching this team a long time. And every time I watch this team be bad, you see that two guard spot. I remember in 2019, we brought D'Lo in here. Okay, D'Lo is a one-way player. He's not a high-level creator. He can shoot the ball a little bit, but he's really a guy that scores the ball, right? Like, not great. Um, and he doesn't guard, right? So they brought that guy in here, and the whole time I hated that move because I was like, it's one of these guys that can't guard and he just scores. Okay, I knew he was bad right off the bat. So then they turned him into Andrew Wiggins and they went the other route, right? And they were tanking during those years. Every time we had Kent Bazemore there. So we went from D'Lo to Kent Bazemore and then into the next season now, that 21-22 season, we started Jordan Poole. We started off that year 18-2. Okay? We started off that year 18-2. And we had three minimums that we added. One of them was a stretch four. And we realized that thing about that stretch four that we didn't even see. You know what I'm saying? So we got value from a stretch four and a two guard that we drafted, I think, with the 27th pick or something like that. And that guy was working his ass off. And in January of 2021, that guy who was giving you 18 points a game, we were winning a lot of these games. We were ferocious on defense, all of that stuff, right? And we had a guy that could put the ball on the court and all of that, right? Clay Thompson gets back, and there was so much emotion. Everybody's hearts were, you know what I'm saying? Like everyone was elated. You know what I'm saying? It's Clay, he missed 2 years and all of that stuff, right? But a very peculiar thing happened with Clay, right? Um, he got back and he started. He was on a minutes restriction and he started. Okay? He was on a minutes restriction and he started.
Well, didn't
Okay?
the first game he claimed back against the Gas, didn't he come off the bench though?
Do you remember him coming off the bench? Because I don't remember him coming off the bench. Did he come off the bench?
He started.
Did he
No, he
start that game?
started.
Yeah, he started.
Because I remember also in that particular game that everybody was bad, but then Draymond suddenly got hurt with his.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's not that season specifically that I'm talking about. He played 19 minutes that game, by the way. Played excellent. He had 17 points in 19 minutes. He took 18 shots and he played 20 minutes, right? Like a shot per minute. That's pretty good, right? In terms of getting up shots, right? So he played amazing. He didn't come off the bench. I don't think he did. He was in the starting lineup. Or was he? Let me check. No, he was in the starting lineup. He started. Yeah. So he started, and there's another guy that he started instead of that was giving you 18 points a game. Okay? He was giving you 18 points a game. When somebody is going to be playing their ass off and they're winning, and you start that guy, that's going to create some friction. That's going to create some locker room stuff, right? And I'm going to be honest with you, that's where our problem started. And when you do things out of emotion, when you do things out of nostalgia and all of that stuff, That's what happened. And I saw it happening real time, and I damn near was shitting myself because I know how the nostalgia thing, and the remembrance thing, how that can hurt you, right? And that literally happened, right? And we played 500 ball during that time. Not that I'm blaming anybody for us playing 500 ball, but that's what happened, right? So Jordan during that time was coming off the bench. You know when Jordan was starting when Steph Curry got hurt, right? And I don't think that Jordan Poole should have ever been coming off the bench. And that's where our problem started because he was playing his ass off. And most importantly, what we discovered during that time is that Jordan was a guy that put the ball on the floor and he was a secondary um, offensive creator. Not to say that he was the best guy in terms of all of that. He wasn't, right? Like he's not Chris Paul, he's not Luca, he's not any of those things. However, he can put the ball on the floor and he can do all of these dynamic things. You know what I'm saying? So, um, you know, then we go to the playoffs, right? We go to the playoffs that year, and something peculiar happened. Steph Curry came off the bench.
Voluntarily, by the way,
Va-
voluntarily.
Why the hell are we in the fucking playoffs and Steph Curry is coming off of the bench? But you know what covered that up? Jordan Poole was playing amazing during that time. When I tell you that man was hooping, he was hooping, hooping. You know what I'm saying? He was playing his ass off, right? So he did his thing, and he was doing all these dynamic things, and Jordan like playing his ass off, right? Like literally playing his ass off. So we get to the playoffs now. I think it's game 3 or game 4. Steph Curry starts to come off the bench. Then they realize that, yo, we can't start all three of them because there's like a defensive problem. You know what I'm saying? Like 3 guards on the court, not going to work. You know what I'm saying? But Clay is shooting the fuck out of the ball. Steph is shooting the fuck out of the ball. Jordan is shooting the fuck out of the ball during that series. And there was so much spacing and so much room, but there was a problem with the team defensively. You know what I'm saying? Fast forward, we win the title, everybody's in euphoria, and all of this shit happens, right? And then the Draymond punch thing happens. And even after the punch, like all that other shit, Jordan is coming off of the bench. So Steve Kerr's solution to Jordan coming off of the bench was you go run the second unit. The second unit was terrible because Jordan Poole is not like a point guard. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a motherfucker that can play off of Steph and, like he can put the ball on the floor and he can get to the rim and he can do all these dynamic things, right? So that was happening during that time, right? Like we had a lot of this stuff, right? The bench was terrible. We had one of the best starting fives in the league. Okay. Fast forward now. We get it in the middle of the season. I'm hearing shit. I'm hearing that, oh, Steve is having people come to him and saying that I should be starting and all of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Jordan is getting frustrated because he's a bench player. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not embracing the bench role and all of that. How can he, bro? He got punched and all of that shit, right? So now there's turmoil and all of that, right? So he's kicking up dust and all of that, right? So this is what we get to, right? So end of the year now, he doesn't play well in the playoffs. And then we turn around and we trade that man. We kind of had to give away his contract, right? Based on how he played in the playoffs and all of that shit, right? Turns around and he gets traded for Chris Paul. Okay? Pretty much a salary dump. We salary dumped our 2 guard. Directly after that, I'm hearing shit about Clay Thompson and contract situations. So not only do they trade away Jordan, but they couldn't come to an agreement with Clay Thompson and the contract shit, right? And we started a little thing. We're like, yo, Clay signed a deal. Clay signed a deal. right? So we're there and we get to the summer, right? Clay doesn't sign the deal. Clay comes in, he's throwing up Tupac stuff. He's not happy about his contract, right? So now Clay is playing for a contract. We start off the year and everything goes wrong. Chris Paul is playing well, but that's a small guard. And he's 38, 39 years old. Not going to do anything for us. Clay Thompson is just pissed off the entire year because he is a four-time NBA champion, and the organization is telling him that they're not going to give him 4 or 5 years. Okay. The organization is looking at Clay Thompson and they're saying, I don't think you have much time left. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way we're going to give you your 4 or 5 years. You know what I'm saying? He wanted 4 years or some shit like that. They're not giving him that. It was more so about the years more than the number. Organizations is not giving him that. They're not going to trade him at the deadline. So think about that. So we have a $42 million expiring. What could you get for $42 million? They don't trade that shit, right? They don't trade him. He's Clay Thompson. They're going to try to get him back. They ended up losing Clay Thompson. Okay. They really didn't maximize his expiring. Okay. Chris Paul has an expiring. They didn't do anything with the expiring. So we let three guards that can actually do shit with the ball that were on high contracts just walk out the door, poof, literally for nothing. So you see what they just did? They literally just let three guards walk with all of these assets and nothing materialized from $73 million or none of those young assets. So when I tell you it was just piss poor roster management, it was, right? So then we get to the summer now. They didn't make any of these moves because, one, how could they? Because they let CP walk, they let Clay's contract expire. Now he's a free agent. Now they're doing sign and trade stuff and right and goobly ga, right?
But because of you doing the sign and trade under now the CBA restrictions, you're not allowed to go over essentially the first statement. So they're essentially hard
So
cap
they hard
themselves.
cap themselves because they do the sign and trade, right? So so when I tell you like half measures have murdered this team, it's absolutely murdered this team, right? We come into the season, okay? We come into the season and I'm like, all right, let's see if we can go back to the formula. We got Melton in here. Melton was pretty good for us. Like I saw him as like a Derek White. Then he gets hurt. Then all hell breaks loose because at least there's a guy next to Steph that can put the ball on the floor, that can defend, and they can shoot the ball. You know what I'm saying? So Melton is not like a perfect solution, but he does some stuff, right? And then we had to bring in Dennis, right? So, we put a band-aid on it and we put a band-aid on it with a player who's injury prone. Next thing you know, he tears his ACL, right? So we lost Clay Thompson essentially for nothing. I know it was a sign and trade, but it was for nothing. We lose Jordan Poole, CP, and Melton, and this is where we're at right now. So think about that brain drain. Think about the talent that we've lost during that time, and nothing came back. So I think the front office just looked at this team and they were like, "We are not going to spend money on this team because I don't think that." So next thing you know, I'm hearing about models and I'm hearing about all this stuff, and our complex models is saying that we're not going to fix this team. We're
Bro,
not going
this
to
is
help this team,
basketball, not fucking mental calculus. What are we doing
right?
here?
Fuck
But
all that shit.
but
Fuck all
here's the
that shit.
thing. I don't care about the mentals or the calculus and all of that stuff. You don't need math to say if you're in a competitive environment and another team is spending money, right? The way that they're spending money and we're not spending money and we just let talent just walk out the door willy-nilly. What does that tell you? Right? And when I started to realize that this team was just going to do that. Joe Lacob was in an interview and he said that there is a way for us to cut salary and get better. And once he said that, we were fucked, bro. We were fucked. Now, what we were banking on, here's what we were banking on. We were going to bank on young guys taking a leap. One of those young guys that, you know, that should have taken that leap, he doesn't even start. You know what I'm saying? He should be a starter, but they don't start him. We get off to this great start, and then you watch Mr. Professor, nutty fucking Professor Steve Kerr then go to work. So where this team did not have a any type of rope, any type of nothing, this man Steve Kerr then starts to tinker, and then he tinkers us into a fucking losing streak.
Bullshit. I ain't buying that at all. Steve
Bleacher
Kerr
Dave, I
did,
watched it happen, bro. What do you mean? It fucking happened.
Steve Kerr didn't miss none of them threes tonight.
I'm
So
not fucking talking about tonight. I'm talking about what happened before because there's something that happened before to lead up to this. Tonight is whatever, bro. Like, I really didn't expect us to win tonight. You know what I'm saying?
no,
Did you expect us to win tonight? Because you're in
no,
playback earlier.
I didn't
I don't think you
expect it.
expected us to win
I didn't
tonight.
expect it, but I believed it.
Well, did
But I
anybody else
believed
in the
it.
room expect us to win tonight? Is the
I
better
believed
question.
So
it.
you can talk about the missed shots and all of this stuff, right?
Miss
But
shots.
the point that I'm making is that when you go into money management mode and you start to save money, like all of a sudden you're hearing man say, "Well, you know what? Like now we're saving money, and it's the
That's
first
not
time I
Steve
didn't."
Kerr.
Re-.
That's not
Like,
Steve
like,
Kerr.
bro, when you're hearing stuff like that, it's like, huh?
Money manager is not Steve Kerr. That's Joe Lacob. I was in the arena tonight with my sell sign because I want Joe Lacob to buy the A's because it's about money. The Dodgers are outspending the rest of the league. The CBA and the NBA said we don't want to do that. We want to be like F1. We want to be like NASCAR. We want everybody to have the same horsepower. We don't have their models is bullshit. Their models let us pick a Weissman. The models are bullshit. That's not Steve Kerr. That's ownership. So
No, but you can't absolve Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr's a part of the problem, by the way.
Steve Kerr is part of the solution.
No, 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 no. He's a part of the problem because,
Steve Kerr got
like,
There is
four
no
got
way
four
I
got
disagree
four
with
bro, I
that.
rings.
literally watched us
No
get
way
off
I
to this start, right? I literally watched us get off to this start. And instead of us try to win these games, next thing you know, Steve Kerr is out there playing 13 people. And then he's in there telling us, like, oh, this, that, and the other. And then on top of it, they were running like a certain type of offense. Next thing you know, Draymond Green goes on a podcast, and Draymond Green is like, yeah, I don't like sitting in the corner. Next thing you know, Draymond is back to playing traffic cop.
Dude,
You know what I'm saying? Like, so
I'm watching Porzingis come free in the right corner on the same
you are
play
fixating on tonight's game, Bleacher Dave.
over. I mean, I'm
You
just
are
talking about the game I was
fixating.
at.
Bro, don't
You're
be
The game
fixating
I
on
fixating
was
on
at.
tonight.
tonight's game. You
The
can't
same
fixate on
issues are
tonight's game.
persisting
Do you
for
know
like
why?
I was
500
Because
games.
there.
we had a talent gap before,
Yeah,
right? We had a talent gap before,
yeah,
and it's even worse in this game. So this game is
absolutely,
whatever, right? This
absolutely,
game is really whatever.
absolutely.
But talk to me about all of those games that we blew and all of this stuff, right? I was on this very same spaces, and people was telling me that we need to get a Dennis Schroeder in. You know what
You didn't hear
Dennis
me
just
say
did?
that. You didn't hear me say
Dennis
that.
literally came in here and threw a monkey wrench into a already bad team. They're not a great
Where's the
team.
tickets?
We all know
Yeah,
that. We're not
yeah,
dumb,
exactly.
right? So
I don't see the
so
tickets.
it's like he came in
I
and
don't
he
want Douglas
compounded
scholarships.
a whole situation and just made it worse. Not because Dennis is a bad player,
Yeah,
but because they don't play that way, right? So you know the thing about half measure, right? Like you
yep,
can't fucking please everybody, bro. So it's
yep.
like we're
Look,
trying to run the Dennis offense,
I'm the
then we're trying to
first
run the
person to say
Draymond
that.
offense, huh?
I'm the first person that said that half measures bail is nothing.
Right? So it's like to start the season, I watch us run a particular type of offense,
Here come the cute
and
Yankees
then
fan. She
we
think
stop running that
Jessie's
type of
cute. She
offense.
a
Next thing
Yankees
you know,
fan. She can get
nobody can
away
hit
with it.
shots.
Give it up,
Right?
man.
So I'm watching this thing and I'm like, I don't know. Right? And when it started to happen, we were calling it out. I was like, yep, we're back to running the Draymond at the top offense and everybody's running around. You know what I'm saying? But Draymond has been excellent for years, and there's compromises that you have to make because he's really good defensively, right? Steve before the game, Steve hates running pick and roll. He does. So we're running pick and roll, and we've been doing it with the dentist the whole time. Meanwhile, I'm just watching them just go onto every dentist screen, just begging him to shoot. You know what that does? That's defense against Steph.
You know what I'm starting to think? I ain't cutting you, gang, but you know what I'm starting to think? I'm starting to think that trade was giving the fan base a pacifier. Like, look, I'm trying to make moves for you guys. You don't think that? Because why would you be making Steph Curry, who he's grimacing every time he touches the ball because his thumb, something's wrong with his thumb. We're
Bruce,
already hearing reports about a knee
Bruce,
inflammation.
Bruce,
Now
Bruce,
I've said it
you're
Bruce,
before.
telling
I've
Steph
said
to
this
Bruce,
play
before.
Bruce,
Bruce.
shooting
Bruce.
guard.
Every time Steph Curry touches the ball, three Celtics are tracking his ass. They are
Bleacher
not
Because
Dave,
no
trying to let
one
him
is a
shoot.
Bleacher
threat.
Dave,
They
Bleacher
don't
Dave.
care if anybody else
I
hits shots or not
I
because
don't
they
100%
care if
know
everybody else
that's
gets
not
a
what's
shot.
going to
Bleacher,
kill them.
Bleacher, you
Yeah.
are 100% right. But what that means is, Urkel I think everybody just missed what Urkel was saying. You know the reason why when the whole fan base is saying
So,
Buddy is trash, where's Moody's production? Why can't GP2 shoot? You had a player who could dribble past shoot, and you traded him. Like Urkel said, the Warriors were thinking they would be better if guys made a specific leap. You had a guy who made a leap. You won a championship with him, but you benched him, right? And then you pacified it for Klay Thompson, who the Dallas Mavericks were looking for a closer today. He only shot the ball 5 times. They don't even want him to shoot. They'd rather Najee Marshall shoot than Klay Thompson. So that shows you everything. They made a mistake. They've been making several mistakes. Drafting Wiseman, mistake. You know what I mean? Like,
you
I
can.
mean,
That's a mis- look.
look at
That's
the
a
Boston
mistake. You
Celtics. Look at the
cannot.
Boston Celtics. Look at the Boston Celtics before you get that point off. The Boston Celtics almost beat the Warriors because they said that was the best team in the finals, right? The Warriors should have lost that series. Even Warrior players and coaches have said that team was better than us, right? So the Celtics didn't just step away from that finals and remain the same. They got rid of their defensive player of the year, Marcus Smart, who the team had rapport with, and they went and got a marginal player, Derek White, who was ascended into a $30 million player. And Robert Williams, Time Lord, was erasing everything on the glass. They repaid him by getting rid of him and acquiring Kristaps Porzingis. I don't know, man. I just, I know guys are hurt, and if guys weren't hurt, it probably wouldn't look as bad. But you got to look yourself in the mirror at this point. When Steve Kerr, the legend who played with Michael Jordan, right? Or the guy who played with the legend Michael Jordan, rather. When you're starting GP2 and then a shooter next to Steph, come on, man. It's time for me to play 2K, man, because you're trolling me at this point as a fan. You trolling
Go
me.
play. Look, Bruce. Go play 2K. I'm too old for this. and I don't know what 2K is. So I'm gonna say this to you. I can't disagree with everything that you said. Everything you said was proper. But here's what I am gonna say. And so you were right. And so in that 2022, Boston had more talent, but they were not a better team, right? Because the Warriors were a better sum of their parts. They were a better team, even though they had less talent. Because they know what they're doing. They know how to do it. And at that point, they were better in the clutch. Wiggins and Steph immortalized himself in that series, right? But today, in a regular season game, we got dog walk because the Celtics were trying to come get us, right? And so they hung with them for part of the first quarter, and then the superior talent just arrived. The difference was they shot better than three from us. And so the fake MO from the Warriors for years and years and years has been this is a 3-point shooting team. This is not. Steph is a great 3-point shooter. Clay was a great point three shooter. But they used the threes to be able to also attack the basket. And most important, what people don't talk about was the defense, right? So we all recognize that as Warriors fans. Right now, this is not they don't have the same talent, and they're not a better team because their cohesiveness is never going to be where it is without Draymond. And so Draymond has cost this team a lot, but he is also the heart and soul of the defensive measure of this team. And so if you're a Warrior fan for all time, you got to recognize that Draymond brings and he takes away, right? And so without him on the floor tonight, this was going to be hard, but more importantly, I've been through this before. So I want to see how the rest of the fan base is going to reconcile and live with the fact that the Warriors are not at the top rank anymore. So I can go to the game We got a dog walk tonight. I don't really pay attention. I'm there with 8 people in my family. I'm drunk. We had a ball. I had a great time. I didn't really pay attention to basketball because I've been through this before. Now I'm gonna go to Sacramento on Wednesday and watch it and be intense on the basketball. Because I think we can beat Sacramento. I still think this team has talent. I still think this team has cohesiveness. I still think Steph is the best leader in the league. And I think Draymond is the best ass in the league. And so while he's not playing, he's still relevant. And and so right now, it's just like the Warriors team that had been for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. They don't have a huge talent gap. It's how, and this is something Urkel said, is how much intensity is how well they play. It's what they bring out of themselves and how close they play their potential.
But here's the thing, Victor. That was profound, and I appreciate that. One of the things, though, I will say is this, right? Because you got a lot of fans who, they do the thing where they say, well, I've been around for 20, 30 years, so I want to see how the new fans are going to take it. There was no rock star in the Bay Area wearing a Warriors jersey 30 years ago. Now, I don't mean to hurt nobody's feelings. I love TMC. I got my crossovers from Tim Hardaway too. I love money, right? But none of these guys are Steph Curry, okay? None of these guys are immortalized like Stephen Curry, right? And the reality is this, right? When you talk about the greatest two players that play in the NBA the last decade, it's Steph and LeBron. Hence the reason they played in 4 finals, right? And we know what the ratings say. We know who the faces of this great association is. But I just can't figure out why you would just like they did a thing where they were saying, you know what, Klay Thompson is in here. Steph, you should be okay with Ken Bazemore and Michael Mulder. Like you should be okay with Brandon Wanamaker. Why does Steph Curry, this great giant, always have to play with guys who are essentially out of the league? Quinn Cook, Alfonso McKinney, Ian Clark, you know what I mean? Jonas Jerebko, Omri Caspi, Mo Spades. Why does he always have to have the Juan Toscano Andersons, the Damian Lee? Shout out to the brother-in-law. Shout out to you, Damian Lee. But why does he always have to have the lesser than players? Otto Porter Jr., you helped me win a championship? Well, I'm retiring. I can't play anymore. Why does he always have to rejuvenate guys, right, and revitalize guys' career? And then we're just banking on, that to be good enough. Otherwise, yeah, it's been a good run. I don't get
Bruce,
that, bro.
Bruce, Bruce, can I borrow one of your sayings?
Oh, go
You
ahead, G.
smart, you smart enough to know this. Because
You're
everything
smarter
you
than
said,
that, OG.
you smarter than that. Is how you say. Because everything you said is true. Because first they were capped by the league rules. Because the league rules have been changed to put a accelerator limiter on the Warriors, and then they fucked up the draft pick. And so here's the difference: when the Spurs are the one team, when they had a chance in their run to have the draft pick, they picked fucking Tim Duncan. They hit. They won. We're like the Detroit Pistons. The Detroit Pistons picked Danilo, whoever the fuck that dude was, Ginobili.
Darko Milicic?
Darko Milicic. That's who
Yeah,
exactly
yeah.
it is.
Good call,
That's
Rose.
exactly it is. Detroit picked Darko Milicic. We picked Weissman. And so when you miss like that on a high ass draft pick, you can't come back from that. There's no coming back from that. That's a miss by the fucking front office. And so I'm watching this shit. Listen to this shit that happened today. I could not sell one of my tickets for a game against the Celtics on MLK Day. The other ticket I sold to a dude in the arena for half price because people are off the Warriors. That shit is freaking Joe Lacob out. He cannot. So I'm just like a regular dude. But if he has people that give up these like $50 million suites, that's a major ass impact to his cash flow and the valuation of the franchise. Now, I do not think Facebook dude and uh, Oracle dude, Benioff, and that other dude are going to give up their suites because there's like one, two, three, four, five, seven, 8 suites that probably cost, I don't know, 50 million, 100 million. I don't know. I'm making up numbers a year. He cannot afford to lose them. I don't think he ever lose them, but the dudes that are sitting and paying $1,500 a seat with a $75,000 PSL, he's at risk of losing them dudes. He cannot afford to lose them. That's why he's not gonna like go in with all half measures of this nothing. He's gonna pussyfoot that shit. And so I think we gotta realize how all of us have to realize and how to find joy in the basketball and entertainment when we may not be championship relevant. I'm in, man. I love basketball. I love these teams. I love Steph Curry. But the franchise is fucked up. The draft picks, they fucked it up. And we got to call them out for that shit.
But Bleacher, so here's my point, right? Those are great things as well. I don't disagree with any of those points, right? It is a great testament for your profile evaluation or franchise evaluation to go from several $100 million to now being $1 billion enterprise. But again, the Chicago Bulls have made it to the Eastern Conference Finals one time since Michael Jeffrey Jordan has retired in 1998, and that was 2011 with the kid. Yeah, go
Say
ahead.
it again. One
The
time.
Chicago Bulls have made it to the Eastern Conference Finals one time since Michael Jeffrey Jordan led them in 1998, and it was in 2011 with the young kid from Simeon named Derrick Rose. Go ask ChatGPT. Go fact check me, right? They haven't made it back. So you can do this thing where